Welcome, friends, to another Wolff Responds. I want to call this one Tariffs, Lies and More Lies. The whole issue of tariffs, ever since Mr. Trump decided that throwing these at every other country in the world was some kind of clever, smart, or strong action he could and would take to strangle up the world trade system. Is it a good piece of theater? It is. No one has ever done that before. Hit the entire world with a tariff all at once, and with many of the tariffs so high that it would basically bring trade between the tariffed country and the United States to an end. It made it impossible for businesses to plan where or how or when to invest, because the profitability of any option they might pursue depends on the tariffs. And Mr. Trump not only created them and threw them at countries, but he threw them helter-skelter. They went up one day, down the next day. They were suspended for 12 days, for 20 days, for 90 days. You couldn't make sense of it. You couldn't keep up with it. And you weren't going to take the risk of moving production from one place to another based on something that was so herky-jerky as Mr. Trump's tariffs. That's why you haven't seen any mass movement of production from the rest of the world to America, bringing those jobs back that he talked about. Lying. He haven't brought them back. And he hasn't brought them back for a very good reason. There's no way for them to decide, even if they pulled up stakes from the factory they have in China or the factory they have in Brazil, why bring it to the United States? As you're going to see in a few moments, the United States is the last place they'd move production as these tariffs get imposed, deposed, postponed, raised, lowered, and no end in sight. Mr. Trump seems to enjoy doing that. He now puts tariffs on countries because he doesn't like who they are or not prosecuting in their courts. I mean, it doesn't seem to make any difference. So no company can plan. But that's the least of the lying. To show you how deep the lying is, how many layers of lies there are here, I'm going to take you through very quickly how the tariffs actually work. Here we go. Tariffs are a tax. That's all they are. The word tariff is the funny name, for historical reasons, given to a tax that attaches to importing goods and services. A good or a service made outside the United States, when it enters the United States to be sold here or to be used as an input for producing something here, that is an import. That's the word we use. Produced outside, brought inside. A tariff is a tax on that import. Well, then who pays it? The answer, whoever does the importing. Most imports in America are brought in by companies, by enterprises, capitalist enterprises. I'm going to give you some examples. Walmart brings in tons of stuff from around the world in order to sell it in Walmart department stores across America. If you've ever been to a Walmart, you've looked at the label, where is that toy produced? Where is that shirt produced? You'll see that the vast majority of time it's from outside the United States. The same is true of Target. The same is true of Amazon. The same is true of fill in the blank in retail. Here's another example. American automobiles, the ones put together in Detroit or in Ohio, use many imported parts. A carburetor, a brake shoe, a shock absorber, whatever it might be. Those are imports because those goods that come from outside, being imports, will have to pay a tariff, a tax. And to whom does the tax go? Uncle Sam. So when Mr. Trump says, I'm going to hit China with a tariff, he is lying. We, the American government, cannot tax the people of another country, no more than the Chinese government taxes us. That's not how it works or ever has. The American government can only tax Americans, and that's what it does. It taxes us as individuals, and it also taxes enterprises. It taxes our income, it taxes their profits. That's how it works. So now let's follow the bouncing tariff ball. If something comes into the United States, the company that brings it in has to pay a tax to Uncle Sam. It's an American company most of the time, although foreign companies based in America also bring imports. Whoever brings it in, they pay the tax to Uncle Sam. So the vast majority of all tariff taxes are paid by Americans to Washington, D.C. So no more let's talk lying about tariffs being things we do to punish another country. What does the American company do that has to pay a tariff to Uncle Sam because Mr. Trump said so? If that company used to bring in a $10,000 piece of equipment and there's now a 50% tariff on it, then that company has to pay, $10,000 worth, if that's what the number was I just used, $10,000 to get the machine, and another $5,000, 50% of that, to Uncle Sam. So the final cost to the American company for the $10,000 machine that they used to spend $10,000 on is now raised to $15,000. Any American who wants to buy it will have to pay $15,000 instead of $10,000 because of the tariff. But what I've just told you means that tariffs raise prices. Tariffs are inflationary because the companies that pay the tariff, the importing companies, will usually try to pass off the burden of having to pay that tariff to Uncle Sam by jacking up the retail price that you and I have to pay. The more he can do that, the more the importing company has passed the burden of the tariff off of the company that imports and on to the American consumer. All companies that are importing will respond to Mr. Trump's tariffs by jacking up the price to the rest of us. Some will do more of it, some will do less of it. Whatever they don't shift to us will hurt their bottom line, their profits. And they're the companies, and they don't want that. So, yeah, we're going to get screwed by the tariffs in the form of the higher prices. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. This is very important. But there is, of course, damage that is done to the foreigner from whom we import whatever it is the companies are bringing in. Why? Because they understand that if the American importing company is successfully able to jack up the price at retail so they don't have to pay, we have to pay, we're going to buy less of those things because for us, the price has gone up. So what is going to be hurtful to China or Canada or Mexico or any other country that sends stuff here from whom we in America import, what hurts them is the loss of sales in the United States, as the tariff, by raising the price, being inflationary, costs sales. We buy fewer of what the tariff has made more expensive for us. Well, then what will the foreign companies in China, in Brazil, in Canada, in Mexico, what will they do if they suffer reduced sales in the United States? Here we go. Let's take a look. Because we know we have the statistics and the research to tell us. Here's the first thing. Foreign producers, suddenly discovering that they're losing sales in the United States because of Mr. Trump's tariffs, will be working much harder than they used to replace the lost sales in the United States by increasing their sales everywhere else. They will spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of manpower and womanpower to find other markets outside the United States. They'll establish distributors over there. They'll develop an advertising program over there. They might be lucky, and this is what they'll be striving for, to make new additional sales abroad over and beyond the sales they lose here. Long story short, everybody around the world will be looking to build their business outside of the United States, away from the United States. Is that something we want? Is that good for us? I don't think so. But we are not even at the beginning yet. Suppose the companies over there decide that the way to offset lost sales in the US because of the tariff, they're going to try to sell more of their goods inside their own countries. Not export elsewhere, but inside. And what are they going to do for advertising to their own people? Well, they're going to do something that will likely be also part of their advertising in all the other countries they're going to try to develop sales in. They've got to come up with a pitch. And you know what they're going to think of? Guaranteed, it's already happening. They're going to use Mr. Trump to help them. They're going to say to their own people and to everywhere they advertise, you want to strike a blow against Mr. Trump for causing all the difficulty? You want to have a little way to do that? Does it bother you? Buy our stuff. Don't buy American stuff. Don't buy any American stuff. Buy from us. Buy this. It not only gets you this, whatever it is we produce, but it lets you do and make a statement about Mr. Trump and what you think of him. And now let's take it one step further. Every political leader of every country, communist country, capitalist country, Europe, Asian, African, Latin American, it doesn't matter. In every country, friend or foe, you're going to see a new advertising thematic take over from the government, not the advertising from the companies, which will be anti-American because of their feelings about all this. But now the government has something that Mr. Trump gave them on a silver platter, an excuse. You're having difficulties in your country there in Africa? You're having difficulties in your country in Latin America or Europe or Asia? Blame the Americans. The tariff hurt us. Mr. Trump, trying to solve the problems of America, dumped those problems on us. Don't be angry at me, your president, your leader, your prime minister. No. You should support me because I'm anti-American. And they deserve it because they brought this problem onto us. Their difficulty, they've made it to ours. And let's pay them back. Mr. Trump doesn't tell you about any of that. Like a huckster, like a cheap advertising agent, he tells us as the people what good things a tariff might do. And he's careful never to mention, hiding all the time, all the bad things. And I've just given you a handful of them. There are more. Well, you know, that's a kind of lying. If you know that something has its good sides and its bad sides, and you're talking to another person about it, and you only tell them about the good side, that's a kind of lying. And that's what's going on here. Tariffs have been sold to you with an immense set of layered lies, particularly lies of omission, where the truth of where tariffs go, how they work, where they lead, what they can cause, is carefully left out. And yet we're supposed to support the tariff program, even though we haven't been told the half of the truth of what it's doing. And if I had to summarize what it's doing, it's isolating the United States. That's what's happening. The whole world is looking at the United States as an out-of-control country that no longer interacts with other countries to sit down, talk about problems, and figure out a solution that is the best option. No. It decides all by itself, with no discussion whatsoever. We're going to hit you with a tariff, and we're going to hit you with a higher tariff, and you better not replicate the tariff because we'll hit you harder. Whoa. We're going to take Canada. We're going to take Greenland. What is this? We're going to take Washington, D.C. We're watching a disintegration of the way the world worked. And every country knows where the problem starts. And it's right here. It's the United States losing its empire, becoming one among many nations, and not the biggest, and not the toughest, and not the richest anymore. Very hard to adjust to that. I get that. But that's no excuse and no justification for attacking the whole world the way Mr. Trump seems to enjoy doing. You know what the result of that will be? The isolation of the United States as a rogue nation that the rest of the world needs to band together to control. That's where this is leading. People who do this kind of thing never end up well. And we aren't going to either, as long as this kind of behavior persists. If interventions like this strike you as reasonable, please share them with other people. That's why we make them, to stimulate discussion, to make sure that the things not spoken publicly get put out on the air so that we can think like rational human beings about our problems and the solutions we choose among. And of course, if you can help us defray the costs of producing and distributing these videos, that would be enormously appreciated as well. Thank you.